Hello everyone. This is a video, honestly, I never ever thought in my life I would be recording. But frankly, this is where I'm at right now in my life. So I'm recording this for two reasons. Because I want to have documentation of this for myself. And number two, this may help save somebody else. So I will say this, if you are really not interested in this type of thing, I really, you can just go ahead and just skip this. I really don't care if you choose to watch this or not, because this is going to be about something very personal to me. So I completely understand if you just want to just skip through this. I'm really not expecting to get a whole lot of views based on this particular topic, but here we are. So, as many of you know, I turned 44 this year, and when you turn 40, you're supposed to get your mammogram. So, at the time when I had actually turned 40, I did not go and get my first mammogram, okay? There was a lot of different things going on during that particular time period. And so I just didn't get it for whatever reason. And I did eventually get my first mammogram after I was 40. I believe I was 42 when I got my first mammogram. Or maybe 43. I think I was either 42 or 43, because the dates, they get kind of jumbled up for me. So I can't remember if it was at the end of 2022 or the beginning of 2023. I can't even remember. I know that I was in Florida at the time, and I went ahead and I decided, okay, let me go ahead and get my mammogram. And I got it done. At the time, I didn't really know too much about mammograms. I just, in my mind, during that time period, I was just thinking, okay, you get your mammogram, and, they tell you if they see a lump or anything like that, and that's the end of it. So I do remember logging in to the chart that that particular doctor had used and looking and viewing my results. And then in my mind, I also was just thinking, okay, I'm pretty sure that they would tell me if something was actually wrong. So that was during that time. And I remember, the only thing that I remember them saying, or I remember seeing, because I can't even access the records now, I've tried, and I'm gonna get back to that in a second, but I just remember them just saying that you have dense tissue. Now, that meant nothing to me. And because no one called me, no one explained my results, I just assumed, okay, we're good. And I went on with my life. Okay, so fast forward, I knew that I needed to, go back and get another mammogram, because you're supposed to get your mammograms annually after turning 40. I knew that. So when I went to my my primary care physician this year, and when I had all of my blood work done and everything, she was just like, okay, do you want me to go ahead and do a referral for you to get your mammogram? I was like, yeah, cool. So she set that up. I went on August 30th. I had my mammogram, and it was, no one said anything after I had the procedure. I got my results back, and in my results, they did actually mention again that my breasts were dense. Now, so this is when things started, what's the word I'm looking for? I started having a little bit of concern at this point, because now it was more, I actually got a little bit more explanation this time on my mammogram, where they actually broke down a little bit more about my mammogram results. So this is when they said that your breasts are heterogeneously dense, and they had mentioned that basically I may need more screening based on my breast tissue type. Okay. They said that they were trying to get my other results, and that, they can't really come up with a final diagnostic at this time because of the simple fact that they need my other mammogram results from my first mammogram to compare with this mammogram. But they did mention that additional screening may be necessary if they cannot get my other mammograms. Now again, I'm still going on with life, not really thinking anything about this. And I'm still kind of ignorant about the whole breast tissue thing, honestly. So, I'm just going on with life and not really thinking of the significance of any of this. Okay. So, sometime in October, because again, this was August 30th where I had this mammogram. So now we're in October. And I get a call and from the hospital where I had the mammogram done, and the lady's reaching out to me. She's just like, I need you to come back in because we were not able to get your other results, and we need to see you as soon as possible for you to have a second mammogram screening. So now I'm even more concerned. And she's like, we need to see you as soon as possible. So I went ahead and I scheduled that for October 8th. So by now I'm doing my own research. And basically what I learned is that there are 4 different categories of breast tissue. So you have almost entirely fatty tissue. And with this type of tissue, a mammogram is effective in detecting anything that's abnormal with your breasts. And then you have the second type of tissue type, which is scattered. I believe this word is fibroglandular tissue. And so still generally, you're good as far as a mammogram being able to detect anything that's not normal. And then you have my breast tissue type, which is heterogeneously dense tissue. And with this type of tissue, a mammogram may not be sufficient because basically, from what I learned, is that it is like trying to find a snowflake in a pile of snow. And then you have the last one, which is extremely dense. So it's the same thing. If you have either heterogeneously dense tissue or extremely dense tissue, both of those may require additional screenings in addition to a mammogram. So now I have this information, and basically from what I have learned, when you have a mammogram, that is actually the only way that they can actually detect what type of tissue type you actually have. So I know that now. So then I go into my appointment on October 8th, and this is kind of when everything just kind of escalates. I go in and I have my mammogram, and I'm getting ready to have the mammogram, and the same lady that actually did the mammogram before is the same one that did the second one. And, we kind of recognize each other, whatever, and we're just having small talk. And then she was just like, so when you had your first mammogram, she said, did they ever ask you to come back for any additional screening? And I was like, no. I said, I just know that, I got the results, and, that was kind of like the end of it. No one really said anything. No one explained anything to me, and I did not have to come back. And she, so, and then by now I'm thinking, I have a little bit more knowledge. So I'm like, so you guys basically just need to look at my breasts again, just because you just think that, you just want to make sure that you didn't see anything since you didn't get my first mammogram results just solely based on my tissue type. And then I learned a little bit more, and she's like, well, we need to look at the left one, because she said your breasts don't mirror each other. And she said, but we don't have your other results. And so she said, because your breasts don't mirror each other, she said, you know, you could just be one of those people that you just have two different breasts. But she said, but we don't know that because we don't have your other results yet. And so she said, so that's the reason why we're doing this. And then she asked me again, she was just like, but you never had to have additional screening. And I'm like, no, I didn't. You know, no one said anything when I had my first. And she was just like, okay. So she explained to me that they were going to go ahead and do the mammogram just on the left breast. And that after they did the mammogram, she was going to show the results to the doctor, and then at that point they would make a determination on whether or not I needed to actually have an ultrasound on the breasts. So I went in, I had the mammogram and everything. And I did notice that, and again, this is just on the left side, I did notice that she really stayed, it was a lot more pictures that they took based off of when I had my first mammogram. I was doing, doing a lot of different, they had me doing a lot of different things. Hold your breath, you have to hold your breath to keep still. And it was a lot of maneuvering and a lot more images that they were taking this time. I don't remember them taking so many images, but it's like they were really trying to do a really thorough job this time. So, she said, after she finished, she was like, all right, so just go out and kind of like go back out into like it's like a little waiting area for people that are waiting to get their imaging done that you sit in. She was like, all right, so just hang out here. And she was just like, we will, I'm going to go ahead and show this image to the doctor, and then we're going to make a determination on whether or not you need to have on whether or not you need to have a ultrasound. All right, so I go ahead and I schedule for the I'm sorry, I got kind of distracted. So I go ahead and I'm sitting out there waiting, and it was other people that were waiting. And by now I'm kind of getting a little nervous. And then she comes out and she says, yeah, we do want to do the ultrasound. And so on that day it was actually packed, but now we're down to just me and one other person, because this was like a long wait that day because they were really, really busy. And so I go in and I have the ultrasound, and I'm kind of just like waiting, looking to see if there's any signs that something is wrong. I'm looking at the technician's expression. And by now, keep in mind, I have already been there probably like for over an hour and a half by now, because my appointment was at 10 and I know that I had to be there at 9:45. Hold on one second. Okay, sorry about that. So I go in, I have the ultrasound, and as the technician is giving me is performing the ultrasound, I'm just noticing that, she's just staying on a particular area, and she was not moving. And I'm looking at her, at this point, I'm just kind of like grasping at straws. I'm looking to see if I see any changes in her facial expressions, because now I'm kind of concerned. And, she's just kind of just staying right, like in one particular area. And then she was kind of like applying like pressure sometimes, and, just really just staying in one particular spot. And then at one point, she asked me, she said, does it feel tender or anything? And And I'm like, oh, maybe a little bit, but you know, I work out a lot and I have a tendency to be sore anyway. So, you know, and I also have a high tolerance for pain. So I don't know, that was kind of, for me, that was kind of a hard question to answer. But up until that point, I have never ever felt anything. And, you know, I had like no symptoms of anything even being there. Okay, so she finishes up and my stomach was kind of growling because, again, I had been there, you know, all day practically, like the whole morning. And now we're getting into the afternoon. And so, you know, she gave me a snack and some water. And then she told me, she said, okay, the breast doctor, which I didn't even know there was a such thing as a breast doctor, but she was like, the breast doctor is going to come in and talk to you. She said, which is the standard. She said, I'm going to show him your results and then he's going to come in and talk to you. And so then she comes back, you know, and she's like, well, actually, she's like, he's going to come in, but he also wants to do an ultrasound. So now I'm like, okay, so now he wants to do an ultrasound. So he also did an ultrasound. And so then he's just like, he said, we need to do a, you know, after he does the ultrasound, he's like, we need to do a biopsy. And he said, because there's a spot. And he said, we don't know what it is. And they kind of said spot, and they also used the word mass. They kind of used those terms interchangeably as they were explaining it. And he said it's about 1.8 millimeters. And he said it's sitting in the duct. And he said, we don't know what it is. So now I'm just like, well, can I take a look at it? Can I see it? So they showed me on the imaging. And on the imaging, you know, you see all this darkness. And he said that those were the ducts. And then he said, but right here in this duct, he said, do you see that? He said, that's the spot that we're looking at, this mass. And he's like, we don't know what it is. And so he said, we need to do a biopsy. So, you know, that's kind of like where we're at right now. I don't really know what this is. And today is October 18th. I did get a call because the good thing is everything moves really fast with this type of stuff, but you don't have to make, you know, schedule anything. They they have a whole team that handles this stuff, and they called me and they scheduled everything. So I want to say like that same day I got a call that they were waiting from the doctor, from my PCP, my primary care physician, to determine where they actually wanted me to get the mammogram. I guess not mammogram, the biopsy. I guess you can go to just like a place where they do all types of biopsies, or you can actually go to a breast center. And so they were waiting on that. And then they called me back either that following Monday or Tuesday. And they said that, you know, we haven't heard back from your doctor yet, but we're going to go ahead and get you scheduled at a breast center. So a breast imaging center. So that's where I'm going to get the biopsy. So that takes place on the 30th. So, you know, as far as how I feel, I feel fine. I'm just kind of, I don't know what my life is going to look like after this. I don't know what to expect after this. So if you don't get anything out of this, I would say that just to remember, whenever you are scheduled for your mammogram, the thing that you need to know is what type of breast tissue type that you have. And then you also need to know that if you have either heterogeneously dense tissue breasts or extremely dense tissue, then you need to ask if you need additional screening, or just be prepared to maybe have additional screening, because a mammogram is not sufficient enough to determine whether or not they may need to do additional screening, just because with that tissue type it's harder to see on a mammogram image. So yeah, that's I just don't know. you know, everything now, my records has been updated to reflect that my mammogram was abnormal and that my ultrasound was abnormal. So, you know, I'm just kind of like in a space of just unknown. This is all that actually is on my mind. I'm trying not to panic, but I really just don't know. So I feel like I need to end this video here because I'm starting to ramble, but hopefully you got something out of this, and I'll see you in the next one. Also, I guess if you have gone through something like this and your results were okay, that would be comforting to me, because honestly, I just don't really know what to expect right now. So that's it, guys. I'll see you in the next one. Thanks for watching.